Have you noticed how often we call honesty something that is really just protection? We say, I'm just honest. I just call things by their names. I'm not pretending. And at that moment, we feel relief, as if we've taken off a mask. But in truth, we've only put on another one, transparent, seemingly sincere, but still separating us from the world. It's a mirror we look into to make sure, yes, everything is under control. We've gotten used to looking into the mirror more often than into each other's eyes. Even when we talk to someone, we mentally check our reflection. How do I sound? How do I look? How am I perceived? We rehearse honesty like an actor rehearses a line before going on stage. The main thing is to tell the truth, but correctly without breaking the form. And in that, correctly, lies the whole essence. We don't lie. We direct the truth. We measure it out, control it, polish the edges so as not to cut ourselves. We've become experts at safe sincerity. We know how to speak openly, but not truly. We share, but only up to the line where the crack begins. Beyond that, silence, jokes, rational explanations. We protect ourselves not with lies, but with control. Control even over what we call our truth. And the more control there is, the less breathing room inside. Honesty is not a tool, it's a state. But we've turned it into a tool for survival. We use it to keep from feeling chaos, to stay in control. When you name something, you seem to own it. You name the pain, and it no longer hurts. You explain the cause, and it seems you've understood. But that understanding is often not lived, only spoken. We've replaced living with words, and we call that honesty. Sometimes it seems that honesty is our new cult. Everything has to be authentic, real, without filters. But the filter is not in the photo. It's in the consciousness. It's where you decide, this truth I'll say, but this one, no, because it will make me vulnerable, ridiculous, misunderstood. And that inner editor works all the time. Even with ourselves, we choose a safe version of the truth. We compose it like a press release, where everything sounds sincere, but calculated, where pain becomes a statement, not a feeling. And that's escape. So refined that you don't even notice how you're running, because it looks like you're standing still, looking straight ahead, speaking honestly. But inside, a step back, just a little to the side. You're keeping control over your reflection. You're not lying, you're just not letting go. Sometimes honesty becomes the most sophisticated way of not meeting yourself, because a real meeting is not when you've explained everything correctly, but when you have no words, when your body trembles, your voice breaks, and you don't know what happens next. When the mirror cracks and you can no longer find the right angles. At that moment, you stop being a spectator of your own reflection. You stop talking about yourself and start being yourself. And at first, it feels like destruction, as if your tidy system of coordinates, where everything is in its place, is collapsing. But then comes a strange calm, because for the first time, there is nothing to explain. Everything is already clear without words. You start hearing your body. It speaks simpler than the mind. Here it hurts. Here it's scary. Here it's alive. And in that simple sensation lies truth that needs no proof. You no longer try to be honest. You simply stop being dishonest. It's different. It's not about saying everything as it is, but about not running from what is. When honesty stops being a tool of control, it becomes breath. You don't force yourself to share. You simply can't not breathe. And then every word is born not from the head, but from presence. They're not there to explain, they're there to connect. We're afraid of this kind of truth because it demands that we give up form, the ability to keep a face, the habit of understanding, the need to explain. It strips us to the bone, and it seems that if you let go of control, everything will collapse. But at that very moment, everything begins to gather. The real can't collapse. Only the reflection can. The world we live in is built on mirrors. We reflect each other, our roles, statuses, opinions. We enter a room and immediately sense who seems to be who reflects what. And in this play of reflections, contact is lost. But if even one person suddenly stops holding the reflection, the whole space changes. Silence comes, and in that silence, a connection appears, a real one, without the mirror. Everything that used to seem complicated suddenly becomes simple, not because it became clear, but because understanding no longer matters. Understanding no longer serves control. It serves presence. You no longer analyze. You feel. You no longer protect. You accept. You no longer run. You stand. And in this standing lies the deepest honesty. It's wordless, without explanations, without drama. It doesn't need to be heard. It simply is. And when you're in that state, others begin to respond. Not because you say something, but because you no longer hide. True honesty, isn't when you reveal your cards. It's when you stop holding them at all. When the game ends, and only reality remains. It may be rough, awkward, strange, but it's live. And it's that aliveness that heals. The world always knows when you're lying, even if you call it honesty. The body knows. The events around you know. Reality immediately responds to falseness. With small disruptions, strange coincidences, tiredness, a lost taste for life. Everything around says, you're not here, you're in the reflection. And as long as you cling to control, it can't come closer. But as soon as you let go, everything starts to happen by itself. Coincidences become softer, breathing deeper, connections clearer. The world begins to speak to you, not in words, but in sensations. You understand that honesty isn't what you say. It's how you breathe, how you stand, how you look. Sometimes the most honest act is silence, not because there's nothing to say, but because there's no longer a need to prove anything. Sometimes honesty is the tears you didn't manage to explain. Sometimes the laughter that bursts out when it hurts too much. And all of this, forms of truth that need no control. You might notice something softening inside, as if the mirror you've been holding for so many years slowly melts. You feel skin, breath, the living warmth beneath your chest. This is you, without reflection, without form, without the right words, without managed honesty, just presence. And from this moment, a new kind of movement begins. Not running from, but stepping toward. Not the desire to be honest, but the impossibility of being false. You stop chasing the reflection because you become the source of light. And the mirror is no longer needed. The world is transparent when you stop hiding. All the connections are visible. All the responses are audible. You begin to notice how everything is synchronized, as if reality itself supports those who have stopped pretending. And the less control there is, the more coincidences, those soft signs through which the world speaks to you. You stop searching for meaning because you feel that meaning is already here, in the breath, in the touch, in the movement of light on the wall. All that's needed is to be, without control, without reflections, without running behind the mask of honesty. Just be. It doesn't sound loud. It doesn't take effort. It's just silence in which everything exists. And you realize honesty is not the opposite of lies. It's the opposite of fear. When fear disappears, so does the need for control. The world doesn't demand perfect sincerity from you. It simply wants you real, not processed, not prepared, not honest by the rules, but the one who breathes, who doesn't run. And when you finally allow yourself to be without protection, a simple miracle happens. You no longer feel lonely, because the mirror you've been hiding behind all this time was the wall between you and everything else. And now it's gone. There is only space where everything is connected, and you, part of that breathing. And from here, a new choice begins, not about what to say, but about what no longer needs to be hidden, not because you have to, but because it's already impossible otherwise. And in this simplicity lies all the power, because you no longer hide behind honesty, you live it. And in closing, a small practice. If you felt this shift, if something inside you resonated, anchor it. Write in the comments the phrase, I no longer hide behind honesty.